Hi everyone, this is Adrien, the exercise specialist at the Leduc Beaumont Devon Primary Care Network. I hope you all are doing well today. For today's video, I actually wanted to provide the supplementary exercises to the Stand Up to Falls fall prevention program that we are going to be posting weekly for the next 4 weeks. Week 1 of the program was posted yesterday with all of the primary exercises. Those included the chair squat, the standing leg curl, the standing leg abduction, the Dorsi plantar flexion, and then the wall push-up as the primary strength movements. As I said in the video, there are progressions and regressions to each of those exercises. So what that means is if the exercise being done, let's say the chair squat for example, is too easy, then there's ways to progress that and make the exercise harder. If doing a chair squat is too difficult, then there's ways to regress that and make the exercise easier. So you can find what works for you. Let's say the first exercise, you had to regress from the chair squat to something slightly easier. Then you can always have a goal that by the end of the program you're up to doing that chair squat. It's a nice easy way to help show progress. So I want to take you guys through some of the progressions and regressions for the exercises today that I would be showing my patients in person for this program. Or if they're not able to do one of these, I will throw in one of the regressions. Or if they're doing it too easy and it's not challenging enough, then I throw in one of the progressions. So this is a supplementary video to the remaining 4 weeks of the program. So feel free to watch this video anytime that you're looking for a progression or a regression to one of the main exercises as part of the program. So before we begin, as usual, if you are new to physical activity, if you are returning to physical activity from a layoff, or if you have a medical condition that might make doing physical activity difficult, please always consult with your physician prior to beginning any new exercise program. As you see, Coach Luna comes to join me today. So the first exercise I will be showing today is the chair squat. So for the chair squat, as we show in the program, you have your chair, you're up, you can have your arms crossed or in front of you, or however you see fit. You come down into the chair and up, a nice squatting motion, a very functional movement. Let's say that movement is not challenging enough for you. Then there's a couple things that we can do to make it more difficult. We can first off remove the chair totally, and so then you're just doing a standard freestanding squat. So there's no chair to support you there. Helps you work on your balance a little more. Also allows you to squat a little bit deeper if you can. Another way to make that more difficult, with or without the chair, would be to add in some weight. So here we have a weight. So holding on to the weight while we do the squat, doing what's called a goblet squat or a dumbbell squat, however you want to call it, will make it more difficult because you're now heavier because you're holding a weight. So you hold the weight up here, nice and controlled. You come up and you come down. Up and down. Some people, they like to hold it out in front of them. Up and down. Some people, you can hold 2 dumbbells and hold them at your side, up and down. So that's a way to make the exercise a little more difficult. Now, if we're talking about regressions to the movement, so let's say doing the normal chair squat is a little bit too easy for you, or sorry, a little bit too difficult for you. Then there are regressions to the movement also. So a simple regression that you can start is what's called a supported squat. So for that, what I mean is, let's say you have a chair that has armrests on it. You could help use those armrests to help you get up and slowly lower yourself down. Help you get up and lower yourself down. Another option was, let's say you have a railing that you hold on to. I don't have a railing here, but let's say I did. You can hold on to the railing while you squat down and back up. So you can help, so the railing can help you down and help you up. Those are 2 really basic regressions. If that still remains too difficult or too challenging and you want to make things a little simpler than that, then we have a seated exercise where you can take a band, like so, and put it around our feet. Bring it right around kind of low to mid-shin, and work on alternating leg extensions. Alternating Next, just show you guys on the side. Alternating leg extensions. Nice and controlled. Work on those quadricep muscles here. And if that is still a little too challenging, for this our regressions at present would include just using your legs, alternating legs. And finally, it would be planting both your feet on the ground and pushing into the floor with your feet. So I'm trying to push my feet this way, but they're in the ground, so they're not going anywhere. That's called an isometric movement, where you're pushing into something, but you're not actually moving. So you can get those muscles firing without actually moving. So I'm pushing into the floor, but I'm not going anywhere. So those would be all the progressions and the regressions so far for the chair squat. So for the secondary movement, the standing leg curl, we have a chair or a wall over here. We're going to curl our legs up, work those hamstring muscles. So there are progressions and regressions to that as well. The progression is, once again, you take the band here, you put it on both legs, and then you take it. So I have the band around my legs, and now you curl up. So you see, there's resistance on the band now, which makes it much harder, much harder. So you can do that one as a progression. If the standard standing leg curl is a little bit too difficult for you, there are many regressions as well. So these regressions include what's called a seated leg curl. So what we do is we take the band again, wrap it around our feet. I'll go to the side here. So you wrap it around our feet. We'll straighten out one leg, and then we'll straighten out the other leg. And we're going to focus on is curling this back leg in. Curling the back leg in. Curling the back leg in. And then you switch sides. Curling the back leg in. A further regression to that, we'll be doing similar as we did previously, an isometric leg curl. So feet are planted on the ground. Now I'm going to pull my heels this way. So I'm going to be pulling my heels against the ground, back into me this way as hard as you can, but they're pushing into the ground also, so they're not going anywhere. It's a good way to activate those muscles without actually them having to move. So that's a great isometric movement. So those are the basic progressions and regressions for the standing leg curl. For the standing leg abduction, which I showed, you're standing, usually supported, and your legs going out to the side with those hip muscles. There are lots of progressions and regressions for that as well. So the standard progression is once again using a band. You notice a common theme here with the band. Take the band, so around my feet, standing up, and now same thing, leg out, leg in, leg out, leg in, leg out, and in. And same thing other side, out and in, out and in. So you see, much more challenging, much more challenging. Now let's say the standard standing leg curl is a little bit too challenging for you. There are many regressions to it that we try to implement for people. We'll often use this band, bring it up around the person's just below their knees. Some people go above the knees, either way is fine, but for the video up front so you guys can see it. You'll be seated here. Now what we're going to have you do is legs out and in, out and in. As you see, the band here makes things much more difficult, but not quite as difficult as doing it standing. And if you want to make it a little tougher, you can go legs out and in, out and in. The final progression for this, or sorry, the final regression for this, if that is still too challenging, would be to take a band and put it around your legs here, pull it out just a little bit, so there's a little bit of tension on the band going out, and you just hold it there. We can hold this for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, as long as you need. You're trying to resist the bands pulling you in by just holding it, by pushing out just a little bit. Still firing those muscles. So those are some of the basic progressions and regressions for the standing leg abduction. Now, for the Dorsi and the plantar flexions, as I've shown in the previous video, up on your toes and then on your heels, so on and so forth. There are ways we can progress and regress this exercise also. So, the basic one would be to grab a weight again. So we're going to grab our trusty 5-pound weight. Don't do this with it. and you can hold it at your side. Find your supporting structure, whether that's a wall or a handle. Go up on your toes, and down, and on your heels. Up on your toes, down, and on your heels. Up on your toes, and down on your heels. It's a nice easy way to add a bit of extra weight to it, make it a little more difficult. Now there are plenty of regressions to this also. So to show these from the side, so to show these from the side here, you can be seated and you go up on your toes and down your heels. Up on your toes and down your heels. You can always go up and do the plantar flexion where you raise your heel up a few times and stop and raise your toes up a few times. Some people go alternates, so they go like right heel up, left toe up. If you want to work on your coordination, that's a heck of a way to do it. Or you can alternate or do sets. The final one would be similar to as we've shown previously for the most regress movement, is just holding it. So up on our toes and let's hold this. We'll just hold this here. If you want to make it a little more difficult, you can lean forward on your knees there, give a little more weight, or hold a small dumbbell here, hands push down, and same thing, you can go heels up and just hold that. So those are the basic progressions and regressions for that exercise. The final exercise of the resistance training portion of the Stand Up to Falls Fall Prevention Program is the standard wall push-up, which we obviously use to help people get up from a fall if you're on the ground. Wall push-ups, as I've indicated many times previously, is a very functional movement for a lot of upper body muscles, including your chest muscles, shoulder muscles, and your tricep muscles. And they involve all of the pushing movement, which is very important. So obviously our standard wall push-up, we are here against the wall, in and up, in and up. So there are many ways to make that more difficult. So the easiest way to make a wall push-up more difficult is simply to go farther away from the wall. Further away from the wall. The next progression beyond that would then be to go to a push-up from your knees once you can't go any further on the wall. Alright, so knee push-ups, right? Boom. Followed by a standard push-up, right? Which would be generally the hardest progression I would ever recommend for this kind of a program. Now there are many regressions as well. Simply enough, the first regression is clearly the less of an angle you have, so the more upright you are to the wall, the easier the wall push-up is. If you are straight up, there's really no resistance here, so you're not really getting too much of a benefit. There are situations when I would implement this, but not always. Sometimes what I will implement here is a similar isometric movement, where we'll have someone push into the wall, we'll have someone behind them stopping from moving. So you're pushing and someone's stopping you from actually coming up. This is a great isometric movement. So you can decrease the angle on the wall. And finally, you take something like a band here and do a banded chest press. So the band goes behind your back, interlace it behind your back over your shoulders in your fingers, and you do a similar motion as the push-up. Similar motion. So the band comes in, comes out. Nice and controlled. The further out you go, the more difficult it is because the band is obviously stretched for. It's a higher tensile resistance. It's a great alternative, low impact if someone has a difficult time doing standard wall push-ups, so on and so forth. So overall, those are generally the basic progressions and regressions that I recommend for the main movements of the strength portion of the Stand Up to Falls program. There are many others which can be implemented during certain situations for people with individual kind of injuries or restrictions or functional abilities. These are just the kind of the general ones that I would usually prescribe. So if you do try the program and you have difficulty doing the standard movements, feel free to watch this video and pick out which ones make things easier or harder for you, and you can throw them in there and then try and progress to more challenging versions once you get the hang of it and the version you're on is no longer challenging. I think a pretty obvious kind of note you can take away from watching the video is the progressions. So to make the exercise more challenging, generally involve adding more weight, or moving further, or moving more dynamically, or adding in a slightly bit of a balance component to make it more challenging. And then the regressions generally involve less weight, less of the balancing component and less overall movement, progressing to the point where we're even doing just isometrics, which is when you're pushing into something, but that thing isn't actually moving. So you're pushing into it, but it doesn't move, which is, you know, a great way for some people to train if they have issues with, you know, movement or mobility and things like that. You know, working on firing all those muscles without them actually moving is a great alternative sometimes. So I often recommend things like isometrics to people. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that you enjoy the program. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down below. Feel free to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's very helpful. It's starting to get more popular, which is fantastic. As per usual, my name is Adrien. I'm the exercise specialist at the Leduc Beaumont Devon Primary Care Network. Thank you so much and have a great day.